This is a magic book that doesn't really teach you any tricks. And that's actually what I like about it. Authentic Fabrications, Smoke, Mirrors, and Truth by Franklin Williams. This book is really, really good. And one thing that I like about it is that it's not your typical magic book. You're not going to learn a ton of tricks. Yeah, you learn some presentations and you learn how to do a couple things, but this focuses on the storytelling side of magic. This focuses on making your magic impactful for your spectators and making them remember a memory, not just of a trick, but of an experience. I don't do a ton of magic book reviews here on the channel, but I'm glad that I got to review this one, because it's just so different than most of the things I read. This book is about taking magic tricks and turning them into art and stories rather than just tricks. And I think that as magicians, this is something that we overlook a lot of the time. We kind of focus on how fooling is it, or is the audience going to leave not knowing how it's done, but they think that I was impressive and that I have skill. And that's not necessarily how it needs to be all the time. In this book, which has a foreword by Jeff McBride, which is a great addition, this book is broken down into essays and pieces. In the essays, you're going to learn a little bit more about Franklin's personal point of view and why he believes what he believes. And he's also going to talk about things why scripting is important in magic and why it's important to tell a story rather than just show a trick. But you're also going to be learning pieces where he's actually done this for a couple simple tricks that you may already know, and you might even already do something similar in your show, but he's going to call it a piece and put a whole story around it and show why it's not just this one trick and why it can be something so much bigger. If you're into things that pack flat and play big, this is going to be a really cool book for you, because it's going to tell you how to tell stories out of props. So if you have small props, you can tell big stories. One thing that I really enjoyed about the essays is that at the end of the essays, there's something called a creative challenge, which inspires you to actually create something for yourself, or at least ponder on the idea and kind of use your brain a little bit and just kind of get out of the mood of, oh my gosh, I just read this essay. Now let me put my brain to some creative thinking and let me work on my own personal thoughts and opinions after I've just read Franklin's. Franklin has a really unique perspective on magic. He really does prioritize the audience over the trick and the story over the trick, and making sure his audience leaves feeling impacted. And he even goes into the types of audiences and what types of tricks you could do for certain audiences, because not every audience is the same, and he breaks them down into a few different categories. My favorite essay in this book is Are You Not Entertained? It talks a little bit more about how magic is not just one type of genre, and that there's not just one way to do a trick. Just because someone presents a trick a comedic way doesn't mean you have to. And there's actually a creative challenge towards the end that relates to that. I just found that one really intriguing. Another thing I like about this book being broken down into the essays and pieces is that it kind of breaks up the reading. You can actually pick this book up and go to a random essay if you'd like to, instead of reading from cover to cover. Sometimes you can even just skip an essay and go back to it later. And the essays range in length, and I just liked that it felt like the reading was getting broken up by these essays and pieces, and I wasn't just reading a book from cover to cover. I felt like I was reading a lot of different chapters that really were their own chapters. And it was really nice being able to pick up this book and not have to read in order and just go to this essay that I found really intriguing and then go to another one that I thought was thought-provoking. And it was just nice to be able to bounce around. The hardcover version, which is what I have right here, this retails for $55 US, and personally, I believe it's well worth the money. If you are into storytelling, or you want to take magic tricks and turn them into stories and turn them into pieces, then I highly recommend this book. If you're not into storytelling, or you're not into scripting, or maybe you think that you already know everything you can about it, I highly recommend you read this book, or at least check out an excerpt somewhere if you can find I don't know if there's like one of the essays posted online, you could maybe get like a free preview from like Amazon or something, because I know that you can buy it for your Kindle too. If you can read this book, I definitely recommend that you do it, because I just think it might change your perspective on some things, or at least shine a new light on something. And maybe if you could just take away one thing from this book, it might give you your money's back in the next gig that you do. Thanks so much for watching this video all the way to the end. It's a little bit more of a different video than I usually do. I don't do a ton of book reviews, so I hope that you found this video entertaining and intriguing, or at least you'll learn something. And if you'd like to watch another video here on the channel, you can click the video that's on the screen right now, and YouTube is going to take you there. So go ahead, watch that video. I think you're going to like it.